Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. I've missed you. I've had a herniated disc back here for a few days. It's a real pain in the neck. I tried to rest as best I could, but I can't stand it anymore. I have to come outside. I crave adventure, but I need to take it easy. I gotta be calm, don't want to re-injure myself. So today I've headed down to one of the most peaceful places I know. A beautiful place, a place where even I can stay calm. Mission San Juan Capistrano. One of 21 Spanish missions dotted throughout California. This right here, this mission is the birthplace of what would become Orange County. It's also one of the most beautiful places in Orange County. Just look at this. No matter which direction you turn, you will see something beautiful. Now, given that most of Southern California was built in the 1950s and afterwards, this place is ancient. Mission San Juan Capistrano was founded on November 1st, 1776, which makes this place about the same age as the United States of America, and makes these buildings about 200 years older than anything in my neighborhood when I was growing up. Look at it, it's gorgeous. All kinds of flowers everywhere, and about 800 million bees. Allie does not like the bees. If the bee gets close to you, just tell it, buzz off. Don't worry about it. This beautiful mission was founded by a Franciscan friar, basically a Catholic priest, named Junipero Serra. There's a statue of him right up there. Spain wanted these missions up and down the California coast for one thing, to sort of stake out their territory so that the British or the French or whoever didn't take it. But they brought the priests like Father Serra out here as a mission to the Indians to convert them to Catholicism. These days, colonialism and converting natives is a very controversial subject. But in the eyes of the Spanish who were settling California, they were bringing culture and salvation to the Indians. So in their eyes, they thought they were doing something nice. Anyway, basically, that makes the mission a giant church compound. The Spanish taught the local natives about Christianity, about European farming, gave them some European diseases, and with the help of the Native American labor, built these beautiful buildings that have stood the test of time. This is gorgeous. This definitely doesn't feel like you're in typical Southern California. Look at it. It looks so exotic, so, I don't know, romantic, huh? Ooh. Now, Father Junipero Serra is now a saint in the Catholic Church. So for many people, the mission is still considered very much sort of sacred ground. Which is why it is a calm place, a respectful place, a church-like place. Perfect for me today with the... This is all just the first courtyard, the outer courtyard of the mission. Just wait until you see the inside. We'll just head right through this stone archway here. In through this main, I don't know, archway. And look at this. The second most beautiful thing I've seen today. I mean, this here. This is jaw-droppingly gorgeous. Everything from the masonry and the brickwork, the open space with the beautiful flowers, these scary looking plants here. What is this, the Inquisition? It's just beautiful. Even the people are beautiful. Well, one of them. And it's very, very quiet. Just listen to that. I feel so calm. It's good for the back. Relax. Relax. Look at that. That is a nice step away from the hustle and bustle of usual Orange County life around here. It's like stepping back in time. It really literally feels like you're in a different time period. Whoa, look at the size of those koi fish down there. Those guys have been here for a while, I'm guessing. Dude, some of these fish are bigger than my head. I'm pretty sure that one right there is bigger than your torso. Yeah, fishy, fishy, fishy. Whoa. I think it's pretty self-evident why San Juan Capistrano is known as the jewel of the California missions. I mean, just take a look around. It's beautiful, and it's pretty much ginormous. But besides just being really, really ridiculously good-looking, the mission can also boast several historical firsts. This was the first place they forged metal in Southern California. This is the first place they had mass in Southern California. And what do you need to have mass? You need wine. So Mission San Juan Capistrano was also the first place they grew grapes for wine in California. Right, Mr. Lizard? The first place. All of you wine-tasting fanatic people who come up to Napa Valley or Rome, California, wine tasting at all the wineries, just remember that the whining started here. Look at this. This is so awesome and so peaceful out here. It's really nice. Great spot for a date, huh? Besides being the first place where they did wine and they did metal and they did all these crazy things here in Southern California. And besides being sacred to Roman Catholics for being a place that Father Junipero Serra founded, the mission is also extra sacred ground because it contains the only church left standing that Father Serra actually served Mass in. It's one of the oldest churches in California. Heck, it's one of the oldest buildings in California. And it's known as the Serra Chapel. Shh, let's take a look. All right, we've got to be really quiet. We're going inside Father Serra's chapel. There are very few people that I would take my hat off for, but the man upstairs is one of them. The R stands for respectful. What a beautiful church. The oldest parts of this church date from 1777. That's amazing. It was expanded a little bit in the 1780s, and obviously it's undergone several restorations since that time. But this is more or less still Father Serra's original chapel here at Mission San Juan Capistrano. That is amazing. It's crazy to think that the original adobe walls here were 4 feet thick. It took a lot of work to build a chapel back in the 1700s in what was basically the middle of the wilderness. And the reason why it's so long and narrow is because they had to build the chapel to match the roof beams, and they could only get them about that wide. Now, I don't know much about the afterlife because I've never been there, and I neither promote nor do I mock any religion on the planet. But I do like coming to old churches. I love the way they feel inside. There's something so creepy about them, yet it's kind of peaceful knowing that people have been praying in here for more than 200 years. I don't know why. Just something so fascinating about that idea. So many cool things to look at in here, like this beautiful ceiling or the old stone baptism font that was from the old stone church. But I think the coolest thing in here is the giant golden altar or retablo, which is almost 400 years old. It originally came all the way from Spain, but was donated in the 1920s by the Diocese of Los Angeles. And if you look up there really close in the middle, you can see San Juan Capistrano up there, holding his Crusader banner. Okay, I don't think I can be quiet anymore. Oh, that's cool. It's really nice in there, very historical, very peaceful. And even though I'm having a calm day, it's pretty hard for me to be quiet that long and pretty hard for me to go without wearing my hat for that long, although I can't put it on just yet because all around us now is a mission cemetery. Under our feet and potentially under the street and far outside the bounds of the actual mission proper. But definitely in this area here lie the unmarked graves of the natives who helped to build the mission. This right here is the grave of Monsignor John O'Sullivan, who came to the mission in 1910 and basically ran this place and restored it when the rest of the world seemed to have forgotten about it. And so, of course, the mission has not forgotten about him. Behind him here, though, is a memorial that I believe he erected to those who built the mission, who are all buried in this area here. Well, that's a nice thing to remember. Memory eternal. Okay, well, we're gonna leave the cemetery now. Not that I don't enjoy a good cemetery, I just like to perk up a little. Woo. And you know what always perks me up? A visit to the beautiful, the famous, Sacred Garden. Dude, look at this. This is one of the most famous photo ops at the mission.
This courtyard is so gorgeous. Right there, the mission bells are hanging. They have this beautiful dripping fountain going on here.
It's gorgeous.
And look at those famous bells, the heart of the mission.
Bells told you when to wake up, when to go to bed, when to pray, when to eat, whether a man died, whether a lady died,
whether there was a fire. You could hear these bells from so far away. No matter what was happening, if you heard these bells,
you knew to come back to the mission, see what was going on.
Somewhere I actually have photos of my grandpa and my great aunts and stuff sitting on that wall over there just underneath the mission bells.
Way back in like the 1960s, San Juan Capistrano, the mission, used to be a much more popular tourist destination. It's still very popular with Roman Catholics and people who are interested in history.
But as you guys know, there's a lot to do in modern Orange County, so it somewhat takes a back seat at times.
Still a definite must-do, though.
Now, I believe the two smaller bells here are actually original to the mission.
But these two bells are recast. They were recreations.
Because those original bells were cracked and destroyed in a massive earthquake.
Back in 1812. You see this giant stone wall here on this side?
Looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Well, it looks a lot cooler from the other side. Come on, Allie. Let's go around.
We are now headed to the most famous, the most crazy looking, the most beautiful part, I think, of the mission.
Because these giant stone walls here are the back
of what is often called the American Acropolis.
The ruins of San Juan Capistrano's great stone church.
Look at the size of these ruins!
This gigantic stone church was all hand-built by the laborers here at the mission.
The Padres and the mission Indians had to carry this quarried limestone for miles to get it back to the mission.
And then spent 9 years,
painstakingly constructing this huge stone church.
I mean, this thing is gargantuan looking.
And honestly, considering how long construction usually takes, 9 years, that is probably the most impressive part.
You know that it only took them 9 years.
Sadly, after all that work, after 9 years of toiling and sweating and stacking stone,
they were only able to enjoy the church for 6 years
before a massive earthquake in 1812 knocked it all down.
Now, as you can see, that was a large church. It was many, many alleys tall. And we're only seeing a small part of the back walls and the side here
that are still standing. When the earthquake hit,
it hit at the worst possible time. They were actually celebrating Mass inside of the church, and an estimated 40 people lost their lives when the stones came tumbling down.
This was a tragic loss of life. I mean, there weren't tens and hundreds of thousands of people around here at that time. Definitely a big loss to the community.
And the great stone church was never rebuilt.
There's actually still a very strong legend, a local legend, about a woman named Magdalena who supposedly haunts the ruins of the great stone church. So it's purportedly also haunted.
Then again, what old church isn't? And this one's a ruined old church, so it's got the double haunting effect.
Ah, remember those two big bells I said were recreations? Well, here are the original bells.
They are sitting in the bottom of what once was a very huge bell tower that came crashing down in the earthquake, and all 4 of the bells here
came crashing down with it. These two, the large two, who are actually cracked in the earthquake.
So they didn't sound anymore, you know? They just made like a thunk when you tried to ring them.
That's why they were recast and recreated back in Europe.
So that they would finally be able to sound all 4 of the mission bells again.
But of course, they took the original bells and put them in what was the original bell tower. Now, like I said, there is nothing else even remotely as old as these ruins anywhere around here. So obviously, the ruins of the great stone church at San Juan Capistrano became very famous indeed.
That's how they became known as the American Acropolis, because we have these beautiful, mysterious ruins.
And all the gringos moving out here from the East Coast or the Midwest of the United States
were encountering a piece of Spanish California that seemed very, very exotic to them at the time.
So these became very famous, a very famous place to paint and draw and write poetry about, things like that.
It was also a popular filming location in the silent movie era.
But probably the thing that San Juan Capistrano became the most famous for is the return of the swallows.
You see all these giant arches on the stone church's ruins?
Well, 100 years ago or so, these were very popular nesting places for swallows.
And every year, those little birds would return from way down in South America and build their little nests right up here in these archways.
There's also a very famous song written about the swallows returning to Capistrano called When the Swallows Return to Capistrano.
It doesn't seem like a likely hit today, but back in the day it was very popular, and the swallows became an essential piece of the San Juan Capistrano mission mythology.
Unfortunately, while the ruins of the Great Stone Church were a perfect place for the swallows to nest when there was nothing else around here,
Orange County grew up.
building after building, city after city, suburb after suburb went up, and the swallows didn't really seem to ever actually come back to Capistrano.
Every March 19th, which I believe is St. Joseph's Day, they still celebrate the return of the swallows to the mission, even though the swallows don't often show up anymore.
But it looks like the mission is trying to change that.
because just over here next to the real ruins,
They've set up a replica stone archway.
complete with plaster swallows' nests up there.
Now this serves two functions. For one,
It's a reenactment of what the arches used to look like when the swallows built their nests all over the place here.
but for two, since scientists have noticed that swallows return to places where they have old nests they can recycle.
they're also hoping to lure some swallows back to the mission, and if they use these plaster nests, maybe their buddies will build some real nests next door on the actual ruins.
It's amazing to think that those little swallows fly all the way from Argentina up here to California.
But you know what's really crazy is they're not the only thing from Argentina that's an important part of the mission's history.
Because this mission was attacked by pirates.
In 1818, a pirate by the name of Hippolyte de Bouchard
What a name, huh? Hippolyte.
raided the mission of San Juan Capistrano with all his pirate ship buddies.
They too had come all the way up here from Argentina, and they were raiding up and down the California coast.
Luckily, thanks to their failures at attacking other missions, San Juan Capistrano had a little warning.
Even though they had a few soldiers stationed at the mission, they knew they wouldn't be able to put up a fight, so they packed up all the valuables, hid them somewhere else in a safe location,
and more or less let the pirates come here and raid the place for 2 straight days.
all my life I lived in Southern California, and I never knew that there were pirate raids here.
Looks like Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean aren't the only pirates in Orange County after all.
Pirates, devastating earthquakes.
It's actually kind of a lot to get super excited about here at the mission.
As you know, normally I'm hyper, I'm running around, making jokes, jumping around, and I really want to run around and say piratey things.
I got this herniated neck disc, so I'm just gonna stay
Oh,
calm.
look how tiny these inside rooms are. Look at this doorway.
Come walk through this doorway. Just come walk through that. Look at that. She doesn't even have to duck her head.
A ceiling I can finally touch.
Look at this. I have to duck all the way over just to get through there. You just walk through like it was nothing.
All this tiny furniture and tiny little doorways.
Man, these Padres were tiny.
Los Padres es muy poquito.
Okay.
Well, we got to the mission kinda late.
And I honestly really still should be inside laying down, not doing things.
So I guess that's probably all we have time for in the mission today, but I will 100% definitely be back.
You and I were actually here, what, 2 years ago? We bought a membership and everything. We were walking around, having a date, sneaking a little kisses inside the romantic archways.
Of course, no one really knew we were dating then.
So it was a secret mission.
Anyway, the sun is going down and our next mission is going to be to depart.
But we'll be back again soon, my friends.
Because the mission has many more treasures to be revealed.
We've come for the Grail!
Alright, the mission is closing any minute, so I guess that means our mission is complete.
We've done our duty.
can go home and sleep well!
I'm gonna go lay down now and hopefully heal.
See y'all a little later when I get back. Get it? Because the pain in the back. Okay, bye.
They gave me some fish food for you. Oh, now we're best friends. Now we're best friends. Look how they suck in the food. Whoa, weird. I didn't know the mission was inhabited by aliens. Weird. At first I was thinking that was really nice. That lady that works at the mission brought us some fish food. Let us feed the fish. And then I realized, hey, we're doing her job for her. Fall for it every time. Oh, this is my favorite part of the mission. The mission slogan. They love the slogan, and it's so good. Why wouldn't they? They painted it on the side of the building. Mission San Juan Capistrano. It's worth a visit. It's worth a visit. I mean, why not?